in the body of a Galilean, that body that Mary supplied him. Today he comes to the earth in our own bodies. But the many people, actually majority of believers, their life have become burial ground of the Son of God. It's like they buried him in the grave and he can't resurrect for coming inside you. How you break that outward man so that the life of the Son of God can be revealed is through self-denial. One of them, there are 7 of them, is fasting. Let me recommend maybe a couple. Another one, if you have never known what it means to give God your all, 2011 is the year to start learning it. Go beyond tithing. Go beyond first fruit. Those are important teachings of the scripture. Go and experience financial debt, where you empty your all. And when you do it like Abraham, when he was asked to do Isaac, you don't know how the future will go. Then you have understood what I'm talking about. There are 2 instructions that Abraham was given. One is to sacrifice the future, which is Isaac. You have a promise that you are going to be the father of many nations and finally get one son, and then you are told to sacrifice him. You cannot in any way with your mind reason out how that future will ever come to pass. Does it mean this woman Sarah is going to get pregnant again? This one took us 25 years. What exactly is going to happen? So finally, what he told himself is, I think maybe God will raise him from the dead. And that's exactly what the Bible says happened in a shadow. The other one was when he was told to leave his father's house and abandon everything he was familiar with. Family and all of that. And the Bible said, go to a land that what? I will show you. So how do you start a journey without knowing where you're going? That's the problem. And you can't do mission until you understand that. Because some of you have to have everything ready. Cash ready, all kinds of things ready. You cannot be the type of men of God you read about in God's generals. You can be this 21st century fake that is being manufactured by this fake stuff that is being preached everywhere. You can't be the caliber of men of God you read in the Bible. You can't. An example is, all this go bring the children of Israel out of Egypt. It take them where? It's a place I will show you. How are we going to get there? You don't know. Have you been there before? No. How are we going to get there? I will guide you to that place. How can you leave what is sure and start heading to something that you don't even know? Now, when you study this thing, you see that you don't obey God by reason. God said, you do it because He said it. Some of the people that brought the gospel, different nations of the world, pack their bag and leave. Where are you going? China. Have you been to China before? No. God said, China. Ask of me, and I'll give you the nations for your inheritance, the utmost part of the earth for your possession. Do you know anybody in China? No. Do you speak Chinese language? No. Are you crazy? That's when the word comes in. Because there are people that know you. There are people that are close to you. There are people that whatever, and they are going to do everything to stop you. You saw how Peter started speaking. Get thee behind me. And Jesus had to say, get thee behind me. So this is even an apostle stopping the Son of God. Think about what your normal family or your normal whatever would say to you. And these are the reasons many are useless. Many are. The ultimate discipline is when truly you lay your life. It's called martyrdom. What is next to that is consecration, where you lay everything at the feet of Christ. You are not dead physically, but you live like you are. You live like Stephen. Your all is at His feet. And you know, until your all is at His feet and at His command, His all is not at your disposal. You have also heard that until Jesus is Lord of all, He's not Lord at all. There's no way you're going without it all. Because that is a must. It's not a mere. It's not an optional thing for anyone that will follow Christ. He must deny himself. When that experience occurs, and then he must take up his cross, the challenge of ministry is no more an issue. Why is it that the commission from kings and nobles are seen as honor, and the Great Commission is seen as a sacrifice? When I suffered to take the gospel. Meanwhile, the early church people, after flogging, they say it's an honor, a privilege to suffer. Why is your generation have turned it into a burden? You don't know the Christianity of the Bible. You think you do. Part of what we did is to start introducing you what we call the wells of our fathers. At the proper time, God will help us to do a book on revival. And there's nothing new. You just to go back and get what has happened. And, spread it around enough and put it in a readable document so that people can. Because that's how you bring back fire. Each generation that want to bring it back must go back and ask questions about what has happened. Why have we lost it? How do we bring it back? Once they restore that hunger and that quest, and they find that the principles are not new, God says, stand ye in the old ways. Ask for the parts, that old part, where there's, find it for me. I think we should read it. Ask for that part where there is life, and then walk therein, and you will find rest to your soul. There is nothing new to invent. The gospel is not a field of social science where you keep bringing all kinds of theories week after week. So you read this one that somebody theories or whatever, you bring your own, you counter, you keep fabricating things. No. Jeremiah 6 verse 16, projected. Let's what we say.
Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls.
One more time.
Thus said the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls.
This is what people do. Because what you have now is ways, kinds of theories and things. No. You have to go back. The apostolic Christianity, the acts of apostle Christianity. There are no two. There are not three options. It's one. The worst thing is for somebody to finish running, to find out you're wasted, you're pursuing. No, I don't want that. And so, if you don't want that kind of stuff, you care about, then stay with the truth. Stay with the truth. Ask for the old path. 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 Then walk in it. And you find it. That's what we mean by redigging the wells of our fathers. There is nothing like modern Christianity. There's nothing like it. The only thing God permits for each generation to adjust is methods, packagings, not the principle, not the truth. You don't touch it. As a matter of fact, he left an instruction never to tamper with ancient landmarks. Never to tamper with ancient landmarks. If you remember Joshua, he was told, what Moses had laid down, depart not from it to the left or to the right. Ancient landmarks. In my place, there are some trees they plant to show where the boundaries are. This man's land stopped here. The other man's land started here. Now, because they don't have all these registration beacons and all this modern way of doing it, they plant some of those trees. Some of those trees can live for 200 years. Your great-grandfather will finish and die. Your grandfather will come and die. Your father will come and he will get to your generation. The same tree is standing there telling you where they. So God said nobody should ever tamper with such marks. Find the boundaries of truth. Never you play with it. Never you tamper with it. That's what has destroyed America now. They've shifted all the moral boundaries, all the boundaries of principles and truth. They've shifted it. And they threw the world into what they call the age of relativity, where anything can go. It depends on how you interpret it. Depends on how you. They asked somebody about rape. He said, no, it's not rape because I love the girl. So I love her so much, I forced. So it's no more rape. They said, fornication. No, he said, if we love each other, it's not. Because he's married to you, but I love her. I love another person's wife. So because of that, it's not an issue anymore. Be careful. If God is not sending you abroad, carry yourself there. Look at one of our major footballers that just committed suicide. How many of you heard of him? What's his name again? How can somebody who helped? Which particular major game that made him popular? Was it not? How can you reach that height that a lot of players are hanging around and you are going to walk or you go and commit suicide? Go and check it. His relationship with his wife is behind it. Is America what they have turned? If you see what they have reduced life to. All those America, it's not like when your brothers went there, all those times. Hey, America, don't be impressed with America. If you want to visit and go for horse, go for horse. Don't be impressed with America. I'm glad that God has blessed me as a person. So I can say the truth. Because, then you say, it's not because he doesn't have money. He can be talking like that. Keep quiet. Hasn't been to America. That's why he can talk. When you put sugar in your mouth, will you vomit it? And Lot used his head and analyzed and took Sodom and Gomorrah years after. But he came out with his two grandchildren born from incest. He ended up sleeping with his two daughters because those are the only two things that he came out with. All the wealth, everything he lost. And he ended up with his two daughters that he ended up sleeping with and producing two bastards. A covenant man that followed Abraham. Okay, let's talk a little about this fast. The first thing I want to point out to us is that the plan of God for the church, the entire church, there are 3 projects God asks us to do for Him this year. The first is the glorious church project, to bet for Him a glorious church, an army, a remnant that He can use to accomplish His end time plan. And the beginning of betting a glorious church is a prayer altar. Once you have dealt with things like salvation and all those basics, this is where the work now begins. That glorious church is what is going to carry out the end time purpose, implement the plan of God, and get this end time revival executed, and then the King will come. It's not a program just for Dominion City. It's a program, it's a cry of God for his whole body. The theme of camp meeting this year is the glorious church. Somebody was talking about it, and when we're dealing with authentic manhood, he said that's authentic Christianity. Restoring it. That's why I'm teaching you some of the things I'm teaching you. When we get it rolling, there are so many things it will result in. But one of God's key for unleashing that movement and the revival that is the result of it, the consequential or the resultant transformational impact it makes on society is corporate fasting. Corporate prayer, corporate fasting is the key to the move of God in any generation. I want to say it again. Corporate prayer. Your individual prayer life are important, but it cannot drive the move of God. There is a limit. Corporate prayer, corporate fasting is what it triggers the move of God in every generation. Not just to trigger it, is what drives it. And that move will continue as long as it is sustained by this kind of praying. And it dies the moment that kind of praying dies. That's why we're going to provide a lot of training. Because I know what is coming. The rain is about to fall. And I also know the implication. Once it starts, Satan also comes. Because it can't let a prayer move go on without assault on the people. Because if he doesn't, he's finished. He will be driven out of that city or the environment. So somewhere along the line, he has to find a way to put the fire off. And the way he does it is through the people. He gets into the people. Starts a series of events. Those things, they are laws of order. He will get them to violate it and quench the fire by themselves. He doesn't get them into gossiping and all that. He get them into division. I think we should write this down. Of all the things we talk about in the New Testament, somebody committed fornication. Somebody did that. None of those things harms the move of God or the plan of God for the church like disunity. The greatest damage you can do to Christ's kingdom is disunity. That means that man that sows discord among brethren or is a source of disunity has done more harm than 1,000 fornicators. If you have a group of fornicators that are united, God can use them and do much. As long as the unity is not just unity in fornication, it's unity. It's unity, because when we say unity, we always think it just means getting the people to agree themselves. It also means that they are in agreement with God. It's true. 10 united men can accomplish more than 1 million people with the virus of disunity among them. But then unity, just like love, is not just something you teach the church. You teach it. We preach it. No. It's something that happens when the altar of prayer is speaking. You see, the way it works is that unity will keep prayer producing. But prayer is what produces it. It's like a baby and a mother. Unity is what is needed to get prayer to be potent. But prayer is what produces it. You can't just produce. If you want another level of obedience from the brethren, another level of followership, another level of giving, another level of evangelism, you cannot produce it by just teaching it. Get them to have a prayer life. You will see a higher level of giving. you will see a higher level. You don't know what is the